Thank you Razer and Nvidia Studio for sponsoring this video and allowing me to edit it.
SRS doesn't have a range clear launch.
This here is the 2021 Razer Blade 15, and no, it's not my first Blade. To tell the truth, I've been using the 2019 model as my main laptop and have been enjoying creating content, coding with WSL and gaming on it. In fact, it's taken over my desk quite a few times when doing any sort of work on my desktop PC. But today it's all about reviewing the Nvidia GeForce RTX 30 series laptop based on my own experience and talk about why it's been able to accommodate my portability life as a creator. This year, the Nvidia Studio Razer Blade 15 has accommodated my creative workflow like a pro, mainly when it comes to creating these videos on the go. But my creative process doesn't only rely on putting clips together and calling it a day. You see, my introductions and cinematics most often need sound design, color grading, motion graphics, and even some Photoshop with Lightroom assets. And you might be wondering, okay, well, why do your videos look relatively good? Not only is the angles I choose for the B-rolls themselves, but having a Sony a7S Mark III does help. But with great power comes great responsibility, which means that I need the computer hardware for it. This is why I heavily rely on GPUs to take over my 4K 10-bit 420 footage. With my editor of choice, Premiere Pro, GPU acceleration benefits the workflow itself. I did take a computer graphics course in computer science, and let me tell you, GPUs are complex in their entirety. Graphics cards nowadays have various formats, and it always amazes me how we can get such form factors in these type of laptops. We must often know them for gaming, but these play a big role whether you're creating content, using CAD software, or simply coding games. And I've learned in the past to avoid the confusion between the graphical processing unit and the actual graphics card itself. Within this particular advanced model Blade, I am rocking an i7 11800H paired up with 16GB of RAM and an Nvidia GeForce RTX 3060 with 6GB of VRAM, which overall, the VRAM acts like RAM, where it stores all the graphical data that needs to be processed with the GPU. This is exactly why I tend to spend money on good GPUs, because it speeds up processing intensive tasks like encoding my videos, rendering 3D models for Canva, or processing photo editing tasks for Instagram. Now the 2021 Blade Advanced model has great ports on both sides on its aluminum anodized chassis. If I am charging it on the right with a USB-C GAN charger, I simply use the left port to integrate my Samsung SSD and edit footage from it, with my footage imported in the project tab and well organized in bins to make my workflow productive. It all starts by translating my scripting story and using this footage in the timeline to craft it all. I typically grab 5 sorts of shots, which often include stills with movements, pan left or right, pan up or down, and motorized slider shots. And within my cinematics, well, I often have these heavy movement shots that will not translate as smooth playback if my video renderer is set to engine software only. In other words, using the CPU for decoding your footage, which is why I heavily recommend changing your renderer and use your Nvidia Studio GPU hardware instead. From experience, I have had great video playback with CUDA instead of OpenGL, since it's a framework that was directly created by Nvidia themselves. CUDA accelerates more features and provides better acceleration to those features overall, mainly when you start using video effects like the calling cards I use on some of my videos. So for your own sake, make sure you take advantage of the Nvidia Studio's GPU's accelerated feature. From here, I usually always take care of adding overlays to make effects, and typically this comes with some cool sound effects to make it feel immersive. I always recommend stacking these, cutting them, and don't be afraid to use multiple sounds to match the frames as much as you can. So with technicalities moved out of the way, I color correct and sharpen my footage on my HSL picture profile, which thankfully runs smooth on playback and allows me to have a cohesive editing experience. From time to time, I do enjoy integrating assets directly edited on Lightroom and Photoshop. I take my pictures on a Sony a7 Mark III, which produces images of 24.2 megapixels, and it's super awesome to see that Lightroom automatically supports NVIDIA Studio's GPU's full acceleration. Mainly because GPU acceleration in Lightroom is mostly beneficial in high resolution environments like this beautiful QHD 240Hz display with slim bezels. And this feature is only available in the Develop tab, where I often apply my own preset, use any basic tools to tweak and take advantage of the tone curve along with the HSL encoder tab to make the images pop. From here, I can always open it up on Photoshop and tweak the content of my image if needed. I also use Photoshop when it comes to creating the thumbnail of these videos, whether it's by adding textures, applying text, or simply using select focus, which is a feature that leverages the GPU within Photoshop. Besides, within the entirety of this workflow, I haven't seen drastic temperatures on this device. The GPU often delivers temperatures ranging from 60 to 70 degrees while working, and the CPU sees temperatures of 65 to 75 degrees. It has great fans to support most workflows, and dissipates heat correctly when doing any sort of work, even when it came to using motion tracking within After Effects to add this awesome effect in the introduction of this video, which by the way rendered the tracking extremely well and allowed me to use the playback with no issues. And all of it done straight from my Premiere Pro timeline. With all the footage and assets on it and all of my video edited, I simply tweaked my export settings to avoid using the CPU and utilize NVIDIA Studio hardware for quicker encoding to export this video. Just please make sure to have NVIDIA Studio ready drivers up to date, because this is how you will get stability, optimization for your creative tools, and a productive workflow overall. Towards the end of my creative process, I usually always create a story for Instagram, and because advanced hardware accelerates AI operations, I recently discovered a tool called Auto Reframe, which allows my footage to be edited in a way that it will keep the subject in frame. Definitely one of the greatest features for Instagram stories. People of the internet, this is exactly why the Razer Blade 15 accommodates my portability life as a creator, and even though I'm into web development, I easily get around it by using the Windows subsystem for Linux. I hope revealing my own personal workflow and showing you why I need NVIDIA Studio's GPUs gives you an insight when it comes to my own laptop preference. If you are an online creator or freelancer, to learn more about the all-new Razer Blade 15 with NVIDIA Studio GPUs, check the link in the description below. For a more extensive review of this machine, leave a hashtag Blade15 comment and I will deliver it in September. It's time for me to go, as I finally was able to acquire a PlayStation 5. Review coming up next week. Take care.